where I think we've got maybe 5 years before the entire system changes. We've got 5 years to make as much money as possible so we can protect ourselves and our families from the massive change that lies ahead. You can already see it. You know, if we're starting to see that AIs have consciousness and crypto's being adopted by the White House, what happens next year? What happens when the robots come? What happens when we're going to Mars? There is so much that is happening.
In an episode of Raoul Pal the Journeyman, macro expert and CEO of Real Vision, Raoul Pal explains what he's seeing in the cycle. Raoul has been screaming from the mountaintops about the banana zone, and according to Raoul, we just finished the first leg. During the first leg, we saw Bitcoin finally break the $100,000 price point, and we saw some altcoins run, such as SUI and XRP, with SUI running from about $1.64 to $4.58, and XRP shooting up from 50 cents to $2.82. According to Raoul, this is only the first stage of these types of runs. Raoul explains his thought process with charts that he believes are showing beautiful wedge patterns, which indicates that a serious breakout to the upside can soon follow. In addition, Raoul gives his sage advice not to chase every chart that shoots up, because there will be many charts that rip to the upside, but to stay practical and not to F this up. Let's listen to what Raoul has to say.
In September, we started producing this chart. You already know that I have identified that global liquidity is the driver of crypto assets. And for vast periods of time, they actually just mirror global liquidity. When you get into the speculative blow-off season, it actually tends to decouple to the upside because these are exponential assets. But right now, we're still in the point where they're highly coupled. So in September, we showed this chart and said, the first leg of the banana zone is coming. Cut to today. I mean, that's perfect. I didn't expect that to work as well as that. I mean, that is literally perfect. And that chart suggests that we go somewhere close to 110,000. Maybe we overshoot it, whatever it is, but into the end of the year before we correct. So this is the first phase of the banana zone. So how is it looking in markets themselves? Let's flip through some charts. Now, these were put together yesterday. We've moved around a bit, but SUI, which you know, A, the sponsor of this. B, as you know, I'm on the foundation of SUI, but as I've always said, I'm a mercenary with my capital. This has been one of our core recommendations in both Global Macro Investor and Pro Crypto, and it's been doing extraordinarily well. The short-term chart of this, breakout. Solana. Here's a daily chart of Solana. Solana had a big wedge pattern, big consolidation, broke out. We're re-wedging right now. We should break out again into year end to follow that liquidity pattern, banana zone. Ethereum. This is the weekly chart of Ethereum. The weekly chart of Ethereum hasn't yet broken out, but it's very close. So whether we break out this month, which is my hunch, and then maybe retest in the January pullback from liquidity, or we pull back here for a bit and then explode through afterwards. Either way, that chart, that wedge pattern, to me is one of the most powerful patterns in all of crypto and suggests we've got a very big move in Ethereum to come. The other thing that I look at is I look at the cross rates between various crypto to try and pick the strongest one. I've already shown that Solana is very strong and it's expected to keep going higher. But when I compare SUI against Solana, it's starting to break out from this inverse head and shoulders pattern, which suggests to me that I would switch more assets from Solana into SUI. That's not saying Solana is going to go down. In fact, I think Solana does extremely well, and you should be overweighted there because it is a second cycle, more proven protocol, while SUI is newer and riskier. But it looks like the alpha is going to come from the new token, the new performer of SUI. And we can hear Adani talking about this later today when Chris Bullock interviews him about SUI. To show another interesting chart that I quite like is XRP has been super strong. But really, what we've seen is the upward trend of SUI outperformance. We hit the bottom of the trend channel, and we're likely to outperform XRP going forwards again in that ongoing relative outperformance. Again, that's not saying XRP goes down, but I'm just giving you the perspective of these cross rates so you understand the nuance of markets, because really a lot of people have too much assets spread across too many things. When you start comparing one asset to the other, you can actually narrow it down and concentrate your bets into bets that really matter. A lot of the time you think, oh, I want a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of this because that's going up and that's going up and that's breaking out. You actually underperform by doing that. I found that being more concentrated in my bets, using the don't f this up thesis, which is have, let's say, 80 or 90% in the main tokens. And those would be Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Then you can have weightings in whatever you choose it to be, where you think you're going to find outperformance, including some memes, which should be a much smaller part of your portfolio because you're likely to get wrecked. You'll have fun doing so, but you're likely to get wrecked. Okay, next chart, XRP itself, fabulous pattern. Look at wedge after wedge after wedge after wedge. So we're just building another wedge now, ready for the next break higher. So that move is clearly not done. If you look at the weekly chart of XRP, it's a stunner. This massive 7-year wedge is broken. Who knows where this chart goes to? It's very powerful. But then go back to that chart of SUI versus XRP, and it's suggesting that SUI should even outperform this. So that's the perspective I have. Now, it's not always going to be 100% right, but that's how I look at it. Here's SUI Solana. So we've been consolidating the wedge. We had the huge outperformance, consolidation, breakout, retest the breakout zone. Next leg should be SUI's favor because of the long-term chart. And this is the weekly chart. And you saw the daily chart earlier with the inverse head and shoulders, stuff like that. So there's a lot of great charts that are lining up that say banana zone. In meme land, whiff, dog whiff hat, inverse head and shoulders, broke out, retest, next leg higher should come shortly. Jupiter. So Jupiter it's kind of a leverage bet on Sol because it's a DEX on Sol. So more Sol activity, more Jupiter goes up. So it's broken out as well and looks very positive. These kind of wedge patterns that we see are immensely powerful. So this is beta to Sol. Another one that did a very similar pattern was MOG. It had exactly the same wedge and then it exploded higher, and it's been exploding higher since as it ended up getting listed on the major exchanges. So again, you can see these patterns. They're human behavior on a chart, and they don't all happen at the same time. This is the hard thing about the banana zone is different things pop at different times, and you've always, trust me, always got the feeling you've got the wrong token. Then yours pumps, and then something else pumps. And you're like, do I chase this one? Have I got it wrong? Stick with your program. You'll probably get it right over time if you've used the don't this up thesis of asset allocation. So don't worry. FOMO is a natural part of this market. The real temptation is to chase every breakout. Don't do that because they roll over time. They repeat the same patterns, but they're not all 100% in the same phase. The other one that's an absolute stunner of a chart is Doge. Doge just keeps doing the same thing every cycle. It does consolidation, 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 explosion. Consolidation, 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 explosion. The explosion is always the banana zone, and Doge is the strongest characteristic of the banana zone. It's this massive meme that gets the world's attention. It has been going since 2013, and it has been unstoppable. And look at the breakout levels. Now, if we repeat anything like we did the last two banana zone periods, we've got a hell of a ride to come. So Doge is something that I keep a close focus on. And again, once we zoom down to the shorter term time horizon, Doge, and again, this is slightly out of date, this is from yesterday, but Doge is wedging yet again. These wedges are fabulous patterns in bull markets or bear markets, depending which way you're looking at, but they consolidation, the pause that refreshes, next leg higher. So we're expecting any day now, digestion of the little bit of the move we had with Bitcoin going to 104,000, consolidate, then something will break. I don't know what it was. Sui broke yesterday, broke to the upside. Now it's consolidating. Maybe it's Doge tomorrow. And this rolling breakouts is how it happens. Then consolidation. And as people build confidence, we start moving into, okay, bigger correction to come.
Raoul has taken us through some interesting charts and shown us the wedge patterns that he confidently suggests will break out in the next leg of the banana zone. Raoul now moves to looking at the chart between Bitcoin and Dogecoin, and some other alts that he believes are further off the risk curve, but are still worth viewing. Raoul then gives us his take on where he sees the cycle heading as we move into 2025. Let's listen to what Raoul has to say.
Doge Bitcoin is like, I think, the most humorous chart in all of humanity. What it's saying is since Doge came out in 2013, it's outperformed Bitcoin by 500%. It's suggesting that Doge is the hardest currency in the known galaxy. Now, if that chart plays out and it breaks that kind of downward sloping wedge or whatever channel, and we go to a new high, I mean, that's telling us something that we can't get our heads around, that Doge is literally a better currency than Bitcoin. And I know that's contentious. I'm just looking at the charts. I find it hilarious. We may be living in a simulation, and it's probably Elon's simulation. Therefore, this works. One of the memes you all know I've got, Smoking Chicken Fish. Smoking Chicken Fish did a perfect rip up and then long-term consolidation, which happens to be a wick-off reaccumulation pattern. We should expect it to go to the top of the range around the sort of 120, 130 level, chop around there for a bit and then explode higher. So, you can use these kind of patterns as well. But again, they're all suggestive that we're in the banana zone, the first leg of the banana zone. Not everything sinks. They come one after the other, off the other. Then we get a big correction. And maybe in that bigger correction, it could be the majors correct and the alts explode higher. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to wait and see. I don't trade it. And we'll talk about that correction in a bit. Smoking Chicken Fish broke out of the downward sloping wedge pattern as well. So again, just more confirmation. Here's a leverage play on SWI, which is deep book, which is the liquidity layer for SWI. So the more, if you think of like the Jupiter idea, the more activity that happens on SWI, the more deep book is likely to go up. And it's like $180 million right now as an entire value. Now, if we're right about SWI, that it gets into the top 10 and potentially the top 5 in this cycle, well, the liquidity layer is going to be extremely valuable. So, there could potentially, and it's not a recommendation, but it could do a 10x. So this is how I'm saying there are ways of having leverage plays on top. Okay, let's go back to the liquidity story. So the liquidity story here is, oh my God, and I've been sent this chart 1,000 times by people. Oh my God, what happens? Is it all over? Is this the peak? Is this the end? Do we get out now? What happens? Panic, bullshit. Okay, we had exactly the same thing last time Trump was elected. The dollar was strong, rates went up, liquidity contracted, the market had a big rally, which is Bitcoin. And then in January, because of the lag, what we found was a sharp 27% correction in Bitcoin. And then it ripped higher. Ripped higher so much, in fact, that it went up 23x. Now, I'm not expecting that because this was a much earlier cycle. But what we're saying is that correction is not to fear. That correction is just a marker point from phase 1 of the banana zone to phase 2 of the banana zone. Phase 2 of the banana zone usually goes into US tax season, which is like April. Then there's usually a consolidation because people have to sell tokens to pay taxes. And then there's usually phase 3 of the banana zone is the rip into year end. And that's all driven by the liquidity cycle.
To watch the full talk, check out the link in the description. What do you think of Raoul's thoughts here? What do you see coming in 2025 for crypto? Leave a comment. If you found value in the content, hit the like button, as that greatly helps the channel find similar viewers like you. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to stay up to date on the latest commentary on cryptocurrency. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. SIM swap fraud is sweeping the globe, and your mobile security is at risk. Switch to Ifani and lock out SIM swap fraud and get the most elite mobile protection in the world. Ifani guarantees 100% protection from SIM swaps backed by a $5 million insurance policy. Stay secure with reliable coverage, free international roaming, and unlimited data. Trust Ifani to keep your communications and assets secure. Get military-grade protection, 24/7 concierge service, and a hassle-free upgrade. Click the link below for $150 off.